you ready?
We're ready to go, yes ma'am.
Good evening and welcome to the Keystone Heights Heritage Commission. It's Tuesday, May 19th at 6:04. We need to call order. I mean, not
You just
call
did.
order, roll call, I meant.
Okay. Commissioner Sampson,
I'm here.
Commissioner Glenn,
Present.
Chair Murphy,
Here.
and Vice Chair Lewis.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Helen will not be here this evening. She's already noted it. Let's stand for the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, the agenda might look short, but there's a lot to be covered. So we need to go through and approve the minutes from March. Has everybody had an opportunity to read those? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I motion it. I'm seconding it.
Make a motion.
Oh, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Any public comments?
Oh, we have one registered public comment from Councilman Brandon Ludwig.
Scribbled that in real quick. So I will keep it to 3 minutes, don't worry. So first of all, I just want to say I know you will cover some of the items in the meeting. If I know some of you guys, or I know y'all generally attend some of the council meetings, you may not always watch them to the end. So I just wanted to take a moment. At last month's meeting, myself and some of my colleagues that are in here did talk about the 4th grade field trip and Chautauqua, but I wanted to come and say personally in front of you guys today, that is a ton of effort that y'all put in for that, and it is noticed and it is appreciated. I won't, speak up for them. They've already left their comments, and you can see that in that last month's meeting as well. But that 4th grade field trip was such a great experience, and getting to interact with those kids when we had to move things around, obviously. That was just a really, really good opportunity. I didn't have the chance to do that when I was in elementary school, so for them to get to do it now, I think is a really, really important thing, getting to, have an introductory taste of civic history. So thank you for the work that took to put that on. I will also say the Chautauqua. So I was not able to attend last year's. I was out of town. So this is my first year getting to attend, and I know it's the second year. And between myself and my family, we were both there. We tried to be there almost the entire time for both days. And I have to say, that is truly one of my favorite city events now. That was not only because I had the opportunity to learn some things that I didn't know before, but between that and going out, and I had lunch at a local restaurant, you got to hear nice music in the park. It was such a nice cultural event to have here in town. And, seeing so many of the longtime faces here in our community interact and be a part of it too, it was really, really nice. I know y'all had a bigger crowd this year, I believe, than last year, even despite inclement weather. So I just want to say, I know there's a lot of work that went into that. I did thank city staff at that meeting, but I wanted to personally take the time to thank y'all in person and say thank you. It is noticed, it is appreciated, and really excited to continue supporting how we can on our end.
Thank you.
That's all for me. Thank you.
And I will mention all of that in our debrief that I'm going to read. But we appreciate everything that the city manager did, the mayor, and all the council members that jumped and walked with us through that whole 4th grade field trip situation. So we appreciate all of you, because it really needed to happen in its entirety, and to leave out the component of City Hall would have been, it wouldn't have been the same experience. So thank you for doing that. Let's see where are we? Let's talk about old business. Oh, was there any other public comments? Okay. Old business, the state marker, I'm now going to go back to working on that. And now that I have a breather, So I'll be working on the state marker. Onto the 4th grade field trip. I have written out a debrief, and I will make sure that everyone gets a copy. But for right now, I'm going to read this out because the public may not necessarily know what happened, and this is their opportunity of understanding what the 4th grade field trip was even about. So as all the other commission members read through this, this is kind of a synopsis of what happened on the Keystone Heights Elementary field trip this year. So in keeping with the mission of the Heritage Commission, which hosts an educational program each year for 4th grade field students, so traditionally 4th graders learn about their state. That's the year that they learn about their state history, and it seemed like a natural fit to learn about their community. The students of Keystone Heights previously had walked from the elementary school to the Keystone Heights Historic Pavilion, and after introductions and a brief history of Keystone, the students were then divided into 5 groups of approximately 20 to 25 students, and they proceeded to 5 different stations in town to learn about our community. The 5 stations included a reading of the historical plight of a bird named Andy, a tour of City Hall, the Moon Tree, the Keystone Heights Gazebo Park, which was prior site of the Keystone Inn, and Fort 11, which is the general location of Fort 11. And they rotated between all these stations until the students returned to the Keystone Beach for their lunch. So in the past 3 years, that's the way it's been handled. However, this year, due to unforeseen wildfires and smoke that was deemed a hazard, the principal decided to cancel the field trip. The Heritage Commission, along with the mayor, the city council, chose to make that field trip happen for the students regardless of the circumstances by bringing the experience to the students in their classroom. Due to amazing teamwork of these all guys, we provided the students with a modified program, all within a 30-minute window to assess and reevaluate how we were going to make this memorable, educational, and fun. Our main objectives were to have the 4th graders learn about the community and the history of Keystone so they can have pride in their community and the place they live. By introducing this program each year, the Heritage Commission will help educate generations of kids graduating from Keystone Heights with a better understanding of their community. Our objective this year was to give the students an experience that they would have been denied given the circumstances. So this happened all on Thursday, April 23rd, from 9 a.m. till 1 o'clock. And this happened in the Keystone Heights Elementary School classrooms. So we kind of go back and look at, what went correct, what went well with this experience. And the enthusiasm of everyone, the council members, the commission members, the city manager, the mayor, everybody really, we thought of this as a shared goal. The students and the teachers truly appreciated our ability to shift the program to allow the students an opportunity to learn about Keystone Heights, and otherwise it would just not have happened. So some of the challenges though, and the challenges we want to note on here so that we can do things better next year. And so a report like this really just kind of helps summarize what this experience was like for 2026. So there was some miscommunication between the contact 4th grade and the principal, secretary, and the principal. And one of the things that we don't really want to have is to set a precedent that eliminates the students coming to us. We don't want this to go into a scenario where the Heritage Commission is going to the classrooms, because walking through the experience and seeing what it's like to be physically in City Hall, to be at the Historic Pavilion, to experience the Moon Tree rather than just a slide of the Moon Tree, is just a completely different, to have an engaged, to have them hands-on. in the community versus their classroom. So I think how we can improve next year, and again, this was a weather-related situation that no one anticipated. But I think written communication between the Heritage Commission and the school principals, starting from the top down, is a better place to start. And in closing, a lot of preparation goes and a lot of attention to detail to host 125 students, teachers, parents, and to have them all enjoy and share the Keystone experience. And while this was unusual, our amazing team was able to pivot quickly and brought the experience of the community to the students. So I think, like Brandon was saying, I think collectively, all of us really made that happen. It wasn't just the Heritage Commission, it was the council, it was you for being there, and everybody kind of getting together, and the mayor and everyone making this work. So I appreciate all of it. Thank you. We do need, we did have a couple little bumps. The embosser, which we had thankfully made a couple copies of, the original embosser, the top of the seal, and I never realized the original embosser from the Keystone Inn, the way it works is that there's two seals that come together to form the impression. And that top piece somehow fell off. We have it, but we have to get that repaired. I have no idea who does that. I guess we can Google that, find out, and or how much that would be. But I think we need to make a motion to have the funds so that we can fix the original embosser, even though we're now using the other ones.
Can we make that motion now without having the research done, or would it be more appropriate to move that to the next meeting and have the research done to know how much it's going to cost?
I think we need to know how much we're talking about.
Right.
Because I don't even have an idea of what something like that would
I would
cost.
say let's move it to
Yeah. Okay.
next month's agenda.
Okay. So we'll move that to June's agenda. The next item on our old business is inventory. We do need to create a database, and it's evident every time we pull things out of there. We have boxes, we started labeling them, but it's still difficult to know what's in every single box, and we're a long way from making that happen for everything. So we've made a dent in it, and we do have, probably 1/10 of the items cataloged and logged, but still, if we wanted to get our hands on one thing, you can't do it without a database. So who would like to take on that project?
I don't mind going through Excel or working with somebody on that. If somebody wants to work with me, I'll be more than happy.
Okay, great. That would be really good. So, Kim.
Ladies, while I'm taking note, I did notice as we were looking at potentially filing for a historical preservation grant, one of the line items that gives you more points in those grants is having a database of all your historical assets. So it's not just academic for controls here at the city. Having that product helps for future grant opportunities as well.
How quickly do you need it?
Well, this is not for the community development block grant. This is if we've gone down the route of a historical preservation grant, which we've shifted from. But I would imagine the Heritage Commission is probably going to want to look at historical preservation grants in the future.
Right.
And at the state level, that would be one of the line items in the grant.
And the research that I've done on that is that inventory projects are not a one and done. They are an ongoing, especially when we have a museum where we might be borrowing artifacts from another museum and sharing that, and then taking our items and sharing it with, say, Gainesville or Green Cove Springs, or so that they have it for a month or 6 months. So it's always in flux. So it's a moving thing that you would have for your inventory. It's not just completed in it. But you need a database. You can't just do it with sheets of paper.
Do we have anything at this time?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a baseline document.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I was just gonna recommend if we didn't, reaching out to, what is it, the certified local government element at the state might be worth doing, but we've already got a working document.
And right now, the ones that I researched were very sophisticated for our needs at this time. We just need to know what the item is and where it's located, and pretty much maybe a photo and description of the item. We do not need 25 pages for an antique dresser that tells the story of who made it and how the dovetailing is. You know, I mean, we just don't have the need for all of that. So most of the databases that were online for historical museums are just not what we need at this time. We need to have something like an Excel document. But that would be great, because when we do have the need, then we can transport it and, you know, import it into another file. So getting this started is what we need to be doing right now. Okay. The next item is Chautauqua. We do need to set a date for next year, because we do need to appropriately, we need to set aside the date so that we have the pavilion booked. And I know that Wendy had said that motocross is looking for May. And given the fact that the 4th grade field trip historically has been the 3rd week in April, and we did want to move Chautauqua in the beginning of May, just because of the weather, that I think,
The first Saturday is the first.
Yeah, May 1st and 2nd, I've already got from next year.
that would be good, because I think the following week is Mother's Day, correct?
Correct.
Like that Sunday?
Yeah, probably.
Okay,
I
so
like that, May 1st, 2nd.
May 1st and 2nd. Wendy, what does that look like for your calendar? Okay, so Chautauqua 2027
Wow.
is May 1st and 2nd.
And I will say something nice about that being that first Saturday in May is the Kentucky Derby is always the first Saturday in May. So usually people try to, that's one of those events kind of like Super Bowl Sunday, people try to avoid scheduling. Like ours is perfect because it's in the morning / afternoon.
Right.
So like we had a big Derby thing, but it was nice getting hang there and then go to the other afterwards. And there's quite a few other people who did the same thing.
Right.
So I think it melds together really well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it gives Commissioner Sampson an opportunity to wear a big hat.
That's right. That's absolutely
I'm
right.
wearing a hat with a horse on it next year. Watch out.
Yes.
Well, for the, so the other thing on Chautauqua is the debrief, and you guys can read this while I pass this down. Again, I'm just gonna read this out loud so that everyone, that might be watching at home or, would be reviewing this meeting at a later time understands what Chautauqua is and why we have chosen to have a Chautauqua event here. So really, what is Chautauqua? It's an adult education and social movement in the United States that peaked in popularity in the 19th and early 20th centuries. Dr. George Meade, a Presbyterian minister who had built a home here in Keystone Heights, was selected as the president of Winter Chautauqua in 1926-27. I mean, who would have thought that there's so much connection between the north and Keystone Heights specifically. It's just amazing. So this at the time was a 60-day event, and it was affiliated with the National Chautauqua Institute and featured a wide and varied program. Speakers, musicians, authors, and artists led the program, and visitors enjoyed a uplifting round of banquets, lectures, and music programs held at the Keystone Inn and at an outdoor venue, the Chautauqua Circle, which is here in Keystone, over close to the elementary school. Keystone Heights was also called the Chautauqua City of the South, and we do have photos where on the water tower it even says Chautauqua City under Keystone Heights. So we have it documented, and I believe in one of these documents behind you, there's mention of Chautauqua in there. So
Chautauqua Circle.
the main objectives, and we found that hidden back in one of the cabinets here, and then the mayor took it upon himself to get them framed. But again, this is the stuff that's been, just behind closed doors for years, and we want everyone to see them. So, our main objective is, for the Chautauqua, is for the Heritage Commission is wanting to recapture this era of history. The Commission wanted to reintroduce Chautauqua to the community and highlight a need for a museum by showing all of the historical artifacts we currently have in storage. The Heritage Commission wants to have a community event that supports the city's objectives of highlighting community with a nod to our historic past. This event was held on Saturday and Sunday, May 2nd and 3rd, from 10 to 3 p.m. The event was held at the Keystone Heights Historic Pavilion and Beach area. And on Thursday, April 30th, Public Works assisted the Heritage Commission to pull all the items for the pop-up museum from the air-conditioned storage unit, Old Public Works building, the Welcome Center, and brought those items to the pavilion. They also assisted by putting up the Chautauqua banner. The Heritage Commission arranged for displaying all the items in the pavilion on Friday, May 1st. So what went well? First, the enthusiasm of the visitors attending. The Facebook promotion, thank you all. The flyers, the ad in the Keystone Heights Herald. Let me just.
Was it the Herald or was it the Rockford Telegraph?
It was the Herald. But we got a full page ad. This made such a difference. This was in the Herald. And I believe, I'd have to go back and check, but I think we got that for a very nominal fee. So what went well, so despite the rain and the, excuse me, the tornado warning on Saturday, we had 53 in attendance that actually signed in. So a lot of people did not sign in, but those were the ones that did. On Sunday, with the improvement of the weather, we had 97 in attendance that had actually signed in. The music, both bands had good reviews from the Heritage Commission members and the attendees. Artists loved the setting and asked to be included again. The pop-up museum, visitors shared their stories, they reminisced and suggested that we have a museum. The round table discussion is always a favorite of many attendees, and the speakers, it was a rich and diverse selection of topics and well received. And the food trucks, it was a good variety. The challenges, the weather, the rain, diminished attendance naturally, because it's an outdoor event for the most part. 2 food trucks had to cancel. Artists obviously could not be out painting in the rain. The music did play on Saturday, but it needed more protection. And one of the other challenges is that the microphone over at the pavilion did not work well. So the items to improve for next year, and we need to have a discussion on this, of course, but we need a better PA system and It was also suggested, Kim, I believe you had suggested that we have a laser pointer. We need some more technology over in the pavilion because we do have events over there. The speakers needed for Sunday morning's talk outside on the covered stage. So I can remember Carrie, as I handed her the mic, she said, she goes, well, where's the speakers? So I went, speakers, right. So we did not have any speakers at all. So I figured they were mounted, but no, they're not.
There's no external speakers.
There's no external speakers, right.
So Carrie had to be her own microphone.
Right. So we worked around that. Actually, clip-on microphones really are needed for the roundtable discussion.
Yes.
The current mic situation didn't work well for the participants in that group. They tended to hold it out here, and unless you were almost, had it to your lips, it really did not work well. We do need to, the roundtable was video, we did have audio.
It was tape recorded.
It was tape recorded, but we really do need a video. I would suggest a video for next year, and that we then make that video available to all the participants. Because I've had a few people call me already and ask if we had that availability, and I told them that it was recorded, and then once we have that made, that we will make sure that it gets to all of them. So I'll give that to Helen, and she can get that, because that's their history. And so, wouldn't it be nice to be able to offer the people who are in that discussion group a video that they could share with their families of the event that they were at? And I think that would be really good for us to be able to do that. And then we need to create a legend to correlate with the 2 large picture banners that were in the pavilion that are numbered. So we have these 2 big banners, and they actually, every photo is numbered. And so at some point, there was a legend somewhere. I don't know how that got lost, but it did. And so we need to do that for next year and have that completed prior to the next Chautauqua. And then all the photos and items should be labeled and on appropriately sized easels. So rather than having some of the photos laying down, we could have easels, even small ones, for all of the different pictures, and that would serve us well even with a museum. And then having them labeled. So that's a project that we will have for next year, completed for the Chautauqua. And then we need to have a start and end time on Sunday to accommodate after church attendance, because a lot of folks that went to church came late, and then by the time they had breakfast and came on over to the Chautauqua event at 1 or 1:30, well, then we were closing up at 3. So they really said, oh, we wish it was going longer, but the band was only hired for that time and so forth. And so I think that changing our times is something that we can discuss at further meetings, to make it maybe start a little later on Sunday and then run to 4, something like that. But we can discuss that. And then we need to purchase. I'm going to suggest that we purchase an additional larger banner for the event. The one that hangs out there that was on the fence at the beach is probably a 6 foot. I'm thinking maybe 6 foot. We need something that's 12 feet at least, and I think it would be well worth us making that purchase. And again, we can discuss that at another meeting. Not something we need to do today, but I think it needs to be on the agenda for another time to discuss, because we can always use the banner that we have now and put it across the street, say on the park. It would be easier to see because it's smaller. But when people are driving past, it needs to be large enough for someone to read when they're driving.
Do we have the ability to do across the road
No.
banners here anywhere? We don't have that ability.
I remember one time we were thinking at Christmas, we would have Christmas lights going across the road, and I guess it's a
I'm kinda
DOT
thinking,
issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
FDOT right point.
If it was on a local road, it'd be, but the council could have wanted that to be.
Okay.
So we'll just put it on the fence, we'll just put a big giant banner right on the fence when you're turning.
And maybe, you know, by the time we have the corner completed, having something down there, that might be another place that we could, you know, advertise that Chautauqua is happening. But I think that having the ad in the paper, that really helped. And then there was a few other, suggestions, to improve the covered stage to better accommodate weather conditions. And I know that we've had this conversation before, Jamie, in that if we even had like plastic, or vinyl, clear vinyl sheeting that would, you know, roll up or come down to even be in the back or the sides or something. Because sometimes it doesn't need to rain, you know, or hail for a band to not be able to play anymore because of the inclement weather. Because if the rain is just kind of blowing sideways, even though it might be just drizzling, they really can't play.
Mhm.
So if we just had something to offer a little bit more protection, and I know that wouldn't be really a Heritage Commission thing because everybody uses that.
We've been looking at that for a little while. It's not a new ask, we just haven't sold it yet.
What about like what Cedars and all the restaurants do, they got that plastic roll down.
Have you seen it in the winter?
Well, I get the concept. It's all about, we have to make it custom and so.
Right.
It just hadn't been a high enough priority to get done.
How does that get on the agenda, like you were?
I've already tasked the staff with it. It's just, it's low on the priority.
And the one band.
Gee, I wonder why.
Well, the one band, I went out there, they were wet before they got started.
Yeah.
So I went out there and I looked and they said their biggest issue was all of a sudden they had to pick stuff up off the ground because the platform is not, it didn't drain off, it puddled. So there were spots on that platform where there were puddles of water. So that was hard. They were wet before they even started to play, so they had to dry out, and then they were able to play because it lit for them a little bit.
And then one of the other feedback items that we received was to have a link to give more detail on the speaker topics. So we did have a flyer that went out that we put in all the businesses, the library, downtown, over in Melrose, over in Stark, just everywhere, plastered around town, that had the actual program, the speakers that would be speaking, the food trucks that would be there, who was actually playing music, etc. And there were some comments that said, well, if we only knew what, you know, Bellamy Road meant, and, you know, for not everyone would know to just Google it. Bellamy Road is a very famous road, and so you get all the information you can possibly want about it. But not everybody knows to do that, and so they suggested if there was a link that they could just click on, that they would be able to know a little bit more about what the topic was.
Do you mean
So-
on their Facebook page or where would they find the link?
Yeah, on Facebook or
I'm thinking a QR code on our advertisement.
maybe even
And
that.
a QR code they could
Please.
scan ahead of time, or they could scan at the event. Go in, look at that, and click links from there. So it would link maybe to the Heritage page or to the city page or somewhere where all of that information could be.
And I think that's a good idea in general, because if someone is interested in coming and they want a little bit more information as to, oh, well, I'd like to hear something on that topic versus another topic, or I don't want to miss something specific, they could have an understanding.
We can always facilitate a meeting between any Heritage member that's taken on that task and Joel Fletcher, is it? But from Moxie, the host of our website, and he's very good. We just schedule time and we could talk through what the vision is to create the links, and then that would create what you could put against the QR code and all that. So we can facilitate that in coordination for that.
Okay.
And he's the city's,
The city website is
Website,
hosted
okay.
by a company called Moxie, and Joe Fletcher is the owner operator.
okay,
We sat down with him and did a bunch of updates on the fly a couple months ago just to the baseline
okay.
of the website. So he's very good, flexible, and I think you'll find him very user friendly.
Okay, we'll speak with him next year.
We just upgrade too with the projects autograph.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could tie that into even tour homes. Tour homes, QR code,
Great.
links, to be able to get that information out. We can tie that all together to the tour homes too.
That's a good idea. So in closing thoughts, this was our second annual Chautauqua, and I think it was a huge success from everything I've gotten back, all the feedback. It was exciting to have the participation of the mayor, the council members, the city manager, events coordinator. They were able to observe firsthand the interest from the community in Keystone Heights rich history and the tangible results from this event, because I think that having all of you actually coming to the event and seeing it firsthand, you can feel the excitement of some of the people attending. And we had 97 people on Sunday, you know, and that was the day that we, in a sense, were short. You know, the timeline was shortened as far as the overall program, because people didn't get there till later. So I think having everybody there, we appreciate that you came. What was really surprising to me was that so many in attendance had a Keystone Heights and Melrose Chautauqua connection. It was amazing how many people literally lived in Chautauqua and have homes here also, or grew up in Chautauqua and now live in Melrose, or honeymooned in Chautauqua. I mean, I was just like, what? I never even heard of that. I mean, I never heard of Chautauqua before this. So I thought that was pretty amazing. And the other thing that I shared, I believe last time, and maybe I have that, maybe not. Oh, so last, I don't know what list I'm on, but I got this year's Chautauqua event sent to me, and this is the Chautauqua event for 2026 in New York. I mean, this is massive, and it has just one A-lister after another. It's just amazing. So you guys can take a look at that. So it really is something that I think that Keystone needs to continue, and I think that's something we can all sit down again at our next meetings and really dig into how we can improve this each year, because I think Chautauqua is really here to stay for Keystone Heights. So
I think one of the things was to add like more coloring stuff, or maybe a station for the kids.
good point.
Because if we had a ton of kids, it's just, they were bored looking at the stuff. They really want to be a little bit more interactive.
And I think that's a great idea. Keep in mind that Chautauqua is an adult thing. However, the demographic of Keystone Heights is now becoming younger and younger. And we do have to do something for the kids. However, I think it needs to lean towards history. And we can be teaching them about history through a coloring book perhaps, or doing a reading of Andy the Whooping Crane like we do for the fourth graders, or scavenger hunt, or having them have one person, maybe one of the artists, because all the artists that came said they want to come back again next year, and I think we're going to have twice as many artists next year. We could even ask an artist if they would take the kids and do a, teach them how to paint something. Maybe paint the landscape, such as the lake or something like that, depending on the age group.
And due to the way the building is and how the speakers are, if we have to figure out a place, weather permitting, because that's the other issue we have, a place to take the kids to do an activity to where maybe, like you said, there could be somebody at that station and it could rotate out and they could teach history or do an activity.
Well, we have the covered area. It's a picnic area. It's covered. Just if we're looking from the pavilion out to the street, it's on the right-hand side. So it's kind of behind the jungle gym. That might be, it's covered, and that might be a perfect place if we can, are the benches and everything in there movable?
They are.
Oh, they are?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, maybe we could arrange that so that could be the kids zone or something,
right.
They do have the jungle gym, but I think we really need to be teaching history.
And it could be smaller. They don't have to be the 45 minutes or whatever presentation.
Right.
They could be smaller presentations.
Right, and geared to maybe different age groups. So we could have, the 5-year-old to 10-year-olds, and then maybe something for early teens. And I think it's a good idea. I just think it can't be face painting. It can't be like a carnival. It really needs to focus specifically on history or something about Keystone Heights history in a fun way, just like we do for the fourth graders. I mean, they're only 9, and we take them on a whole tour of the city, and it could be the same kind of thing. And so, would you like to come up with some really good ideas about that, Jen?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Good. Okay, so,
Madam Chair, on some of those items, in your budget, I don't know if you have time over the next month, maybe we could sit down and just see what remains in your budget, what the commission needs for the remainder of the year, and then I'd recommend, you don't go a penny unspent to get either the banner, the
it's
Avasa
actually on our
repair.
agenda.
Oh, all right.
Yep, I need to know where the money is. So the next item is the 4th of July pie contest. And the pie contest is, again, one of those things that the Heritage Commission does that is really well received, but it was a little chaotic last year, to say the least. And I think what we need to do is really, in a nutshell, streamline it. So if you can, just bear with me for a second. So the pie contest is held almost immediately following the 4th of July parade. And it's over here on the side. We have a table set up, but in the past, we've had one table. And it basically has all of our Heritage Commission applications and plaque applications and information about the Heritage Commission. And then when you start putting pies all over the place, I mean, we were moving things. We really need to have 3 tables and maybe set them up in a U and have our informational Heritage Commission stuff on one, and then all the pies on the other, and then an actual judging table. And so pies need to be brought up to the judges, whoever that might be. Really love to get the firefighters to be judges, and maybe you can work on that.
No problem, I can.
And so And last year what happened is somebody out in the public decided to help us and cut all the pies in advance. So then we never knew what the pie looked like before it was all chopped up and presented. And so it was a little chaotic. And so I think by having a table for the pies and then having a pie brought to the judges one at a time, and then the scoring needs to be much simpler, because this is way too complicated with 20 pies. I mean, it just is. And it's very hot, and the pies are melting, and so are the people. So I think that we really need to work on all of that, and I can give that my attention. But one of the other problems, and this is getting down into the weeds, but it's important when we're talking about pies, is someone would come and they would have their pie, the pie type, and then who they are. Not everyone put their name on it. They would put Susie. And guess how many Susies brought a pie? So there's no way to figure out what pie belonged to Susie, even though it says the red plate. I mean, that's all we got. So the problem with this is that we need to take the pie when someone drops off the pie and have a dedicated person from the Heritage Commission that takes the pie and the recipe and the application, make sure that their name is on it, make sure their phone number is on it, and so that we can contact them if they win and they're not in attendance. And everything is stapled together, because otherwise it was pretty chaotic, because there were, I think, 20 pies, and they were all in slices, and it was very hard to figure out whose pie, because more than one person made an apple pie, if you can imagine. And if they both had their name Susie, there was no way to judge one from the other without a more streamlined approach. So I'm gonna work on that.
Can I just say, with the
Yes.
pie eating contest, there was a lot of confusion I really got. People think that pie eating is like a hot dog eating contest.
Oh.
So we need to change it to pie making contest.
Well, it doesn't say pie eating, it says a pie contest.
Well,
And we
they
do
think
have
of-
directions on making your pie and submitting your recipe.
I think we should just
So.
say pie making contest.
Okay, like,
I mean, if we
okay.
wanna do it, we could do a pie eating, just a bowl of whipped cream and.
Yeah, I think you would.
No, let's,
I think even saying making is gonna open the door for confusion too.
yeah, it's a pie contest, and we do give specific instructions online that say, you need to complete the application and you need to submit your recipe. So if they're making it, then I would think.
I didn't think there was a pie eating contest.
A lot of people actually have said that.
Well, we do have a hot dog eating.
That's what it reminds me of.
Okay, so we'll change that as well. Let's see here. There is a round table on July 21st, which is going to be held at the at Camp Landing. And I was asked to be there. They're having one person come from Keystone Heights, like they only allowed 20 people. Breakdown is, I think, Greencoat Springs has 3 people, Orange Heights has 3, Middleburg has 2, Keystone has 1. And it's just Heritage Commission or Historic Commission, to just talk about the 10 top items in Keystone Heights that historic value. So I will be going to that on July 21st. The next thing on our agenda is the tour of homes, which is December 5th. Kim will be heading up this project. We do need to select homes. Well, I'll be helping. Okay, but you did agree. To head up this project, we need to select the homes, and then the Women's Club will be selling tickets for that event. So they can determine how many tickets they're going to sell, but I think roughly if we can sell 150, that makes a very good profit for their organization. They get to keep the funds, and those funds go back into the community via scholarships or numerous other things. And we have sold tickets that otherwise we cannot be profiting from the tour. So I think it's a good collaboration between the two organizations, and Kim's gonna.
How do we determine the houses? Do we have a letter that we can just send to
Yes.
each one and then
Yes.
let them respond?
Mhm.
Okay. Do we have a limit?
No, but in the past, we've done 6 homes.
That's what I thought.
That's a good amount in the time frame that we have. So in the past, the homes were open from, I wanna say 11. Everyone would meet at the pavilion, they would get their tour of homes brochure, and then they would start their own walk. It is a walking tour, everyone is on their own, just like most tour homes that you would go to in any other city. And the homes in the past, we just have contacted the individual owner and asked if they wanted to be on the tour. This year, my home will be on the tour, as well as the Lawrence house.
As far as I know.
Okay, so we have 2. So I'm thinking of asking, and I think Miss Helen Hersey had mentioned she knew the folks who had just purchased Eddie Arnold's old house. So we might ask them, because try to keep in mind that if it's a walking tour, it's nicer to have some of the homes closer to each other, at least 3 and 3, sets. So if we could do that, and I think I might ask my neighbor, which would be the Cahey house. So then that would be the Lawrence home and the Pangborn home, and then the Cahey house and the Bergen house. That would be 4, all right in a row. And then I believe C. Ray Lawrence, that home is now the accounting office for one of the businesses in town, and she did agree that she would have that opened, and that's on Citrus. So that's only a block or 2 from Magnolia. So we can work on finding the homes. But that's already set for December 5th. Jen, do you have any update on the?
No.
Okay. And Kat, any Facebook?
I was gonna ask you had emailed me about removing an email from the Facebook page, but I don't think you ever got back to me on what email you were referring to. Is it my Heritage email?
Who has Heritage Commission 1?
Me.
Okay. Sometimes and I'm gonna have to take a snapshot of it. When I see Heritage Commission 1, it does not come up as you. It comes up as someone else. And I'm not talking about on my phone. I'm talking about online. So I just, I'm gonna have to remember the next time and just take a screenshot of it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can hide it because we do have the link post it on there to the city?
I don't think we need to hide it.
Okay.
I just think, it's not just going to you. And we need to address that. So, the next time I see it come up that way, where it's going somewhere else, I will screenshot it.
Real quick on the Facebook, on Instagram, we have that up and running. And so with the reels that I created and posted, for the exception of one reel that Kat did, we got like over 5,500 views.
Oh my gosh, that's so great.
Just on Instagram, so I don't have access right now.
And what
Or I
were
haven't
you-
logged in, let me rephrase that. I haven't logged in
So
to
on,
Facebook to see.
what were you
how many-
discussing on that reel?
Not discussing, just what we put together.
Right, what did you put together?
Oh, I put all those photos of all the people I took,
Okay,
and then Kat did a live.
was it for the 4th grade field trip?
Oh, no,
Chautauqua.
we just Chautauqua.
Oh, Chautauqua,
Yeah.
Saturday,
okay, that's what I
Yeah,
meant.
I can't do anything with the kids,
Right.
but yeah, the Chautauqua is where we got
Okay.
like the 5,500.
That's
views,
great.
so.
Awesome.
And then, obviously Clay County, Historical Society had pushed it out for us. So, and then if I push it to the council, they'll push it out, so it's great that, a lot of people are sharing it. So once I can go onto Facebook and look at our data, I'm gonna take a wild guess, we probably got 10,000 views between Facebook and Instagram,
Wow.
because
That's
whatever goes on the
really
weekend goes
That's-
out on Facebook.
Really good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
So, the
That
only thing
gives us such
we
a
can't
presence.
do is Facebook to Instagram right now. We can go Instagram to Facebook, so I just haven't figured out Facebook yet.
I can't figure it out either. I don't know what it is.
It might just be the setting and feature of it, but yeah, Instagram to Facebook. So anything I post on Instagram will automatically post, and then whatever she posted, we have to manually post it on the platform.
Okay, good job. That's exciting. That is really exciting. Under new business, I wanted to get a budget update.
Yes. It's around $2,100 right now.
I'm sorry, what was that?
2,100, but
Okay.
there's still some bills that haven't come through.
Okay.
Stuff up there for Chautauqua,
Mhm.
so that may be a little bit more, a little bit less.
Okay. I know that we did spend $193 on printing the 6-panel, but that's not just a Chautauqua thing, that's just Heritage Commission in general, that's for all our events. And then, for the Chautauqua program, we spent $122. So we should, in our next, meeting, if everybody could come prepared to talk about, putting the banner and getting all of the other things that we wanna purchase, with regards to, for Chautauqua, we need to order those things now, as far as, having nameplates for like every picture, just getting an idea, ordering them, and then we can make them. And, like easels, and I don't mean like a full easel, we have pictures that are small that can just have like a little metal easel. So just a whole assortment, that we would probably wanna get online. Anything else that you guys can think of? And the tour of homes brochure, usually ends up costing us about $600. Because those are full color and they're all homes and their history and photos of each. So I know that was roughly around 600 for the brochure. Do you have any comments from, you wanna just start, Jen, and we'll just go down?
Yeah, so I was at the 60-year railroad in Green Cove Springs, and I was talking to a lot of people, and they really, really did like the Chautauqua. The police department didn't know what the Chautauqua was, so I explained to them, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, that's so exciting! We should have been at the event." I said, "Next year, we'll invite you guys, because they have a community affairs, and they could do the little, what is it? The little pop-up right next. They don't need to be inside; they can be right outside." But they really liked that, how the police department in Keystone had its own police department
Yes.
back then, just like Green Cove Springs
Keystone
has their
Cops.
own. Yes. So it was really cool to talk to them about it, you know, the fire department also, but to hear from the community how they really liked the Chautauqua. The other thing is too, sitting in last week's meeting about the community center, yes, that is exciting. I really, really hope that this deal goes through, because I would love to see a museum, and so would everybody else. So I'm really excited about that. So that's my, you know, hope is to see a museum. So, but other than that, I think everything else has been awesome this whole entire year. So I've been enjoying it a lot.
I'm glad you're here. Just been so helpful, especially with like Instagram and all of that. That's just great. And Kat, you're just perfect on Facebook. And I really just appreciate you, because that's not my feeling.
No, she's been posting a lot of good content. That is true, very true. So glad to have a good team. So
Yeah, that's what we need. Kat, do you have anything to add?
I don't have a comment, so.
Yeah.
I just wanna reach out and say thank you to our volunteers that were at the Chautauqua event. We can't do it without help, and it was amazing to have their help, so thank you so much.
You're welcome. I mean, Mary Lou, we just could not have done it without you. You were there every step of the way. You helped me set everything in that room up. Like, this was the It's fun. We just really buckled down and got it done. So thank you very much. All right, meeting's adjourned.